Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai,
Oh,
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Okay. Hare Bol.
So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. Our glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada. Our glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, our beloved uncle, and to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Dear devotees, we thank you all for being here today. The 10th day of the 10th month of 2024. And it happens to be Thursday. And we are very much privileged. We have our own uncle and great uncle to some of us, His Grace KRIPANIDHI Prabhu, who will be speaking to us from the Holy Dam. So we have double, triple blessings. So Prabhuji, as always, we're very much grateful for your association today. And with that being said, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Let me know. I'll just do an invocation chant for a couple of minutes.
Yes, please, you may do that. Yes.
Okay. Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasaya, Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Iti Namami, Namo Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasaya, Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Iti Namami, Namaste Saraswati Gordamani Vajayine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasita Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya, Astotarta Sadashishimad, ISKCON founder Acharya's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Gaudi Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, All glories to the Son of the Bodhis. All glories to the Son of the Bodhis. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I will invoke the mercy of Vedavyas, Narnarayan Rishi, Lord Narayan, and Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Vedim Bhaktavam. I forgot. Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasan Vitor Joem Jurayet Nasta Preshu Abadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We're reading today from the third canto, chapter 3, text 14, entitled The Lord's Pastimes Out of Vrindavan. And I'll just chant the Sanskrit, and then we'll read the translation and purport. Oh, excuse me, it's the Lord's Pastimes Out of Vrindavan, text number 19. Is everyone with me? Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, it's 19.
Yeah, you can hear me then.
Yeah.
Okay. This is really, I don't like not seeing them because I don't know if they're hearing me or not. Okay. Bhagavan api vishvatma loka veda patanugaha kaman sisheve dvarvatyam ashakta sankyam ashtitaha. Bhagavan api vishvatma loka veda patanugaha kaman vishisheve dvarvatyam ashakta sankyam ashtitaha. Thank you. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, api also, Vishvatma, the super soul of the universe, loka, customary, Veda, Vedic principles, patanugaha, follower of the path, kaman, the necessities of life, shisheve, enjoyed, dvarvatyam, in the city of Dwarka, asaktaha, without being attached, sankyam, knowledge in Sankhya philosophy, astitaha, being situated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed life in the city of Dwarka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy. While Maharaj Yudhisthira was the emperor of the earth, Lord Sri Krishna was the king of Dwarka and was known as Dwarkadish. Like other subordinate kings, he was under the regime of Maharaj Yudhisthira. Although Lord Krishna is the supreme emperor of the entire creation, while he was on this earth, he never violated the principles of the Vedic injunctions because they are the guide for human life. Regulated human life according to the Vedic principles, which are based on the system of knowledge called Sankhya philosophy, is a real way of enjoyment of the necessities of life. Without such knowledge, detachment, and custom, the so-called human civilization is no more than an animal society of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. The Lord was acting freely as he willed. Yet, by his practical example, he taught not to lead a life which goes against the principles of detachment and knowledge. Attainment of knowledge and detachment is very elaborately discussed in Sankhya philosophy. It is the real perfection of life. Knowledge means to know that the mission of the human form of life is to end all the miseries of material existence, and that in spite of having to fulfill the bodily necessities in a regulated way, one must be detached from such animal life. Fulfilling demands of the body is animal life, and fulfilling the mission of spirit soul is the human mission. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So here, during Krishna's appearance and activities on planet Earth 5,000 years ago, we see that Krishna installed, after the Kurukshetra battle, Yudhisthira Maharaj, saintly king. And when I first was with Srila Prabhupada in Oregon, he was speaking on the first canto, I believe it was the 8th chapter, where Maharaj Yudhisthira was ruling the world and making sure that all the citizens were complying with Vedic injunctions. And because he himself was performing great Rajasuya yagyas and enforcing the principles of Dharma, then Kama Vavarsha Parjanyat Sarva Kama Dugamahi Chishichu Smat Bhajan Gavam. In this verse, it is stated that because Maharaj Yudhisthira was such a great and saintly king, Karma Vavarsha Parjanya, the rains were very regular. Rains were coming regular. There was no droughts whatsoever. And when the rains fell at a special, in alignment with the stars, pearls would be found in the ocean. And the mountains would produce diamonds and rubies, emeralds, precious metals, gold, and so on. And that the cows, the gavan, the cows, were so joyful that their fatty milk bags were actually irrigating all the pasturing grounds. They didn't even need water. That the milk itself was irrigating all the pasturing grounds. And the cows with their fatty milk bags were very joyful. And in the purports in this section of the first canto, Srila Prabhupada describes how a pious king, he is qualified to give not only spiritual but material prosperity to the citizens, and that the citizens include all the animals. even the lesser animals like flies or snakes, Mrigos Shakara Markarku, Sarasrip Kaga Mukshikaha, Atmanat Putravat Pasyat. The Avaduta was encountered by Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto. And Prahlad is saying, oh, you're an Avaduta, you're lying in the forest, and you don't seem to be working very hard for your livelihood, but you seem to be quite stocky, quite well fed and so on. So the Avaduta gave Prahlad Maharaj many instructions. One was civilization, the 4 varnas, the 4 ashrams, ideal family life. And in that particular context, he spoke this verse. Markaku Sharaship Kaga Mukshitaha, Mrigoshakara Markaku. That the deer, the monkeys, Markaku, Sarasrip, the serpents, the snakes, the flies, even the flies, Kagamakshas, camels, and donkeys, all these Atmarat Pashyavat Patru, that all these animals and creatures are also to be seen as your very own children. And so when we say Praja, Srila Prabhupada said, when we say Praja, it means that we protect all creatures within our environment, all the animals, the trees, etc., etc. However, in today's society, of course, as Prabhupada said in these purports, he said, when there is sufficient milk and sufficient rainfall, sufficient grains, sufficient fruits, sufficient everything, what is the need of ugra karma, materialistic industrialization, where one wealthy man lives at the expense of hundreds of poor fellows in factories? He says, where is the cause of equality within human society? Jiva, jiva, sajivan. I'm simply one person exploiting another one. He says this is simply a dungeon of demons. That's how he ended his purport. Simply a dungeon of demons. And you can find that in I believe it's the 8th chapter, 1st canto. It might be the 10th chapter. I can't quite recall. So here we see the Mars Yudhisthira, Yagya Shishtasino Shanto Muchante Salvakil Bishai. He says that because of Yagya, sacrifices to the Supreme Lord, that all the various elements of our material nature, Mother Nature, were cooperating. And everyone was very peaceful in mind and healthy in body and soul together. So this is the key of peace and prosperity in human society. Yagnatat karmanani acha lokoyam karma bandha. Tadarkam karma konteya, tadartam karma konteya, sadata bhava bhavitaha. Anad bhavati bhutani parjanya anasambhava. That if one follows properly, parjanya anasambhava, if one follows properly and performs his duty properly, and performs sacrifice for Vishnu, yagya tat karmananyacha, then of course Mother Nature cooperates nicely. However, in today's society, we live in a slaughterhouse civilization where there is total disregard for the dignity of lesser creatures, total disregard, and actually exploitation simply because the mind and senses are out of control. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentions when Narada Muni was walking in the forest and he met Mrigari the hunter. And he saw all these animals lying in the forest, half killed. And so he approached Mrigari the hunter. In the purport there, Srila Prabhupada, he says that there's untold suffering of those who install multiple slaughterhouses and kill millions and millions of animals, what to speak of cows, all animals, in the name of human civilization. So therefore, this civilization that we live in, based on hedonism, it is said here, the so-called human civilization is no more than an animal society of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. Tadarajastamo bhavo kamaloba deyastia cheta iteranavridam stita pragya prasidyati. That human society is meant to transcend the modes of material nature and cultivate at least sattva gun, the mode of goodness. Tadarajastamo bhavo kamaloba deyastia. If they're insisting on indulging themselves in calm and lobe, lust and greed, they will be fully oppressed by the modes of passion and ignorance. And Krishna very clearly says that in the mode of passion and ignorance, people suffer in so many ways, not only in this life, but in the life after death. So Narada Muni explained to Mrigari the hunter that all these animals in your next life, they're going to come and inflict the same kind of suffering that you are suffering now. So these things are required. People are required to understand this great knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when he realized who Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, he initially presented himself as a great scholar of logic and Jnana Yoga, you know. But when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally spoke up after 7 days of listening to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on what is the meaning of the Atmarama verse, what is self-satisfaction, what does it mean to attain liberation, the state of Atmarama, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janu Asya Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Hoitukam. That an Atmarama person is completely situated in transcendence. Janiyati Ashu Vairagyam, he has no material desires, subtle or gross. So this is the meaning of detachment here, the principles of detachment and knowledge. So then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya glorified Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vairagya Vijay Nija Bhakti Yoga Shishashkam Eka Purusha Puranya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dari Kripan Budur Yastram Aham Prapadye. I glorify Lord Chaitanya as a supreme personality of Godhead who has appeared in this age of Kali to teach Vairagya Vijay Nija Bhakti Yoga, renunciation of material wants, Vairagya, renunciation of material identification with the body, renunciation of identification with matter, Vidya, knowledge. Socha Nanvasocha Stram, Pragyavalam Shavasa say, Krishna chastises Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Like, you're speaking like a learned person about friends and teachers and so much compassion, but you don't know the difference between agatasun cha, gatasun, agatasun. You don't know the difference between life and death. And then the lesson of spirit soul ensues from there. So this is the knowledge that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking us to distribute throughout the world to wake up the fallen souls, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself has written so many beautiful songs depicting, expressing the philosophy of Bhagavad Dharma. Jeev Jago, Gora Chanda Bole, Kota Nija Jayo Mayo Pisa Chera Kole. Wake up! Wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up. You're sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya. Daiviyesha Gunamaya Mama Maya Duratyaya. Very difficult, these material modes of nature conducted by Lord Shiva's good wife, Parvati, Uma, Durga. She has a thankless task. She's actually, in the spiritual world, she's Yoga Maya. In the material world, she's Mahamaya. And she's simply, with the three modes of nature, just punishing the living entity who is dead set on trying to enjoy the material world and enjoy his material senses, including the mind, right? That's the whole Bhagavad Gita. Manasasthanindriyani prakristani karshati. That the living entity is going through so many species of life. Sadgunan, influenced by the modes of nature. He's being whipped by various whips. Disease, old age, anxiety, so many, death. These are the various whips of Maya has on the living entity. So as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Jeev Jago, one is required to approach a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, all of us, we become Krishna conscious. We develop through sadhana bhakti. We imbibe this knowledge within us. We cultivate this understanding from within the heart, like Lord Brahma, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye, the Lord Super Soul within the heart gives us. Matasmitir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Vidaischa Sarviraham Eva Vedya. So real knowledge comes from Super Soul within our hearts. And he is dying to give us more and more enlightenment, which actually manifests in the form of prema, love of God, Krishna prema, where the soul is awakened to his original relationship, sambandha, with the supreme absolute truth, the supreme person, Anadir Adir Govinda, Govinda, the causeless cause of all causes. That is the ultimate goal of human life. And this is being given to us by the most magnanimous avatar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so magnanimous. He doesn't care, qualified, unqualified. Ibe vipri kibinyasi sudra kene moy. Ye Krishna tattva vete se guru hoy. He doesn't care. High class Brahmin. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings a song. He says, my dear Brahmin born in a high family, at the time of death, Lord Yamaraj doesn't care for your high birth in an aristocratic Brahmin family. And all the sins that you committed, even considering yourself some high-class Brahmin, you will have to answer. You will have to answer to these behaviors. Yashastra utrija vartate kamakarata, based on your whimsical desire to enjoy outside of the guidelines of Shastra or scripture. Oh, I'm a Brahmin. I'm safe. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself says, someone may be a dog eater, but if he's following the principles, then he is a real guru. He is the real guru of society. Brahmin is supposed to be guru of society, but not by birth. only by qualification. Samadama tapasocham, shantir arjavam evacha, jnana vijnana ashtakam, brahma svabhavajam, brahma karma svabhavajam. That these are the qualities of the Brahmin, the person who is living simply, who controls his mind and senses, who performs the austerities of avoiding sinful activities, who is clean both in mind, heart, and body, who cultivates knowledge of scriptures given by the Parampara system. Evam Parampara Praptam. All the great acharyas are giving us. It says in Kali Yuga, all the four sampradayas, they all consolidate into the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu has rejuvenated this Sampradaya, and he has empowered his disciples, Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath, Gopal Bhatta, etc., and many others, to disseminate into the world this panacea, this medicine, which will bring peace and prosperity to the world. So Krishna was here at the end of Dwapara Yuga, and even Yudhisthira Maharaj is his devotee. He's offering him full respects as a king, as a monarch of the entire world. Prabhupada said, in those days, during the time of Yudhisthira Maharaj, there was only one flag. There wasn't 50, 80, 100 flags. There was one flag, one emperor, and everything was very peaceful. Everything was in a very harmonious state of being. Everything was in symbiotic flow with Krishna's, God's desire, and the living entities experience so much peace and happiness. So, Kalir Doshani De Rajan Astireko Mahadganan Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vijat Prayana Payasha Shabda Kalir Asmin Yuge Janaha Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya I Upadrutaha. In the age of Kali, we find ourselves short-lived, with very little intelligence, spiritually lazy, and always agitated, always disturbed. Manda bhagyahi upadrutaha. People are always disturbed by the slightest, Prabhupada said, by the slightest drop of a hat, a war starts, fighting starts, conflict starts, whether it's local or, national or community or ethnic, so many problems. So, Asir Eko Mahad Gunan Kirtanadeva Krishnasya, Maharaj Yudhisthira is told by Narada Muni that Kalir Doshani De Rajan, it's an ocean of misery, an ocean of faults, doshas. But the great benediction of this age, that even the demigods, they want to come and take shelter of this movement of Lord Chaitanya, because in the holy name, Hudanija Sharva Shaktis Tatarpita Niyamita Smarnik Nakala. Itajasi Tabakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Iji Samyaji Nanaraga. The Krishna in this age has put special potency into his holy name. Kali Kaler Namarupa Krishna Avatar. Nama Hoite Hoi, Sarva Jagat Nishtar. That in the age of Kali, the holy name has descended to give us not just liberation. Devotees don't even care about liberation or moksha, but pure love for God, pure love of God, exemplified by the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Vatsalya Ras, Mother Yashoda. Rupa Goswami writes that every day, every morning, when Krishna is getting ready to go to the pasturing grounds, accompanied by his friends, Subal, Arjuna, a different Arjuna, and Sridham, and Sudam, and Patraka, all these friends and servants, they're all coming to the palace of Mother Yashoda. And she's so maternally concerned about her son. And she said, oh, perhaps today, Krishna, you can stay home. The sun is so hot, it will pierce your soft body. And all the stones on the forest floor will pierce your soft lotus feet. How can I allow you to go out? There's so many different problems out there in the forest. So many, every day demons are coming to kill you. I don't think you should go to the. And she says to Lord Balaram, Krishna's older brother, my dear Balaramji, why do you boys have to wrestle? It's so dangerous for Krishna. He might get bruised. He might get injured. Why don't you invent a new kind of sport? Why are you boys always wrestling? Of course, Krishna loves wrestling. But Mother Yasoda is feeling so much maternal emotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She's covered by Yoga Maya, but she's feeling so much emotion. And then they're all dressing Krishna up. She's dressing Krishna up to go to walk through the forest of Vrindavan with the cows, calves. And Krishna said, my dear mother, there is a canopy of trees full of fruits that will protect me from the piercing rays of the sun. And actually, the forest floor is full of wonderful grasses, nice soft grasses, and it just serves as a carpet for my feet. And my friends, we always wrestle, but it's play fighting. Don't worry, no one really gets angry like this. So this is the spiritual world Rupa Goswami is describing in many of his books. This particular book is called Krishna Bhavanamrita, where he's describing what it is like in the spiritual world. He's painting a picture for us, the supreme absolute truth, the all-pervading personality of Godhead takes the position of a little cowherd boy and he descends into Vrindavan, Golopa Vrindavan, and exhibits and displays these wonderful pastimes, which invokes so much emotional, protective, parental love from Mother Yashoda and the elderly gopis that they don't want Krishna to go into the forest because it's so dangerous. So this is what is there. This is our birthright. This is the gift that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is offering to us. Prema Pumarta Mahan, the highest understanding of God. Not just God is great, God, you give me daily bread. We don't care. Savai pum samparo dharmo yato bhaktira dokshajaya hoitukiya pratiyata yayatma saprasidati. The more we devote our lives to Krishna, Krishna says, Ananyas chintayantu mam yejana paryapasate tesham nitya yukjanam yogakshemam bahamyaham. My devotee, I take care of you. You need something, I'll supply it. You have something, I protect it. You don't have to ask me for your daily bread. Krishna Rupa Goswami says, devotee sees that Krishna, God, Krishna is our protector, our master, and our friend. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti tells Arjuna, you're my friend. Bhaktosi me sakha, you're my friend and my devotee. Krishna never allows his devotee to be harmed. We see that when Bhishmadev made a promise to kill Arjuna, and he had the arrow ready, and Krishna had taken a vow not to fight. We know that Krishna came off the chariot, picked up a wheel from a chariot and charged at Bhishma. And Bhishma was so happy because he's in the mood of chivalry. But he caused Krishna to break his vow. So Krishna doesn't care. I'll break my vow if you try to hurt my devotee. Therefore, the devotees of the Lord live under the protection of the Lord. They have full Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasa matpara buddhi yoga mupashitaha machita satatam daivam. That the devotee is very conscious, always thinking of Krishna in his form. Lord Krishna says, think of me in the form, in my form. Manmana bhavamad bhakto. Majiji mam namaskuru. Worship me, offer your respects to me, and think of me. Krishna is doing so many wonderful, exotic activities. And the devotees are satatam kirtayanto mam nitantas chadrudavrataha. They're deriving so much happiness and pleasure from discussing and exchanging the wonderful beauty, transcendental activities, his qualities, the beautiful qualities, the wonderful qualities of the Supreme Lord. The devotees are focused on Krishna, beginning by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Then Smaranam comes. First, chanting and hearing the glories of Krishna, chanting and hearing his holy name, and so on. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he knows who Krishna is. And Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead here. But Krishna is adhering to the etiquette of the day. He's offering his obeisances, although the whole world is under his grip. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. Hastani sahastanam apadani chatuspadam jiva jiva sajivanam. Krishna, all living entities are competing with each other, but actually Krishna, Lord Brahma says, of course, that Anantaram Paramanu Chirantarastam, that Krishna is in every atom and he's between every atom. So, although he's a supreme controller, as we know, all throughout the Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Mata Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. In so many ways, Krishna is explaining throughout the Bhagavad Gita his glories and opulence and powers. And here he's offering and recognizing the etiquette towards Emperor Yudhishthira. He is presenting himself as basically as a servant of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He's observing etiquette, really. And this is the relationship between Krishna and his devotees. As we know, Bhaktavatsalya, Krishna is the property of his devotees. He is a property. He's only won by the devotion, pure unalloyed devotion. Ahoituki apratiyata yayatma. Only by pure unalloyed devotion. Gauranga Mahaprabhu has said this in his Shikshashtakam. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaya mama, janmani, janmani ishvare, bhavatad bhaktir ahoituki twai. That, my dear Lord, what do I want? I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, and I don't want to enjoy beautiful women, which is the kind of root cause, the root drive in the material world. Balavam pasyamaya strimaya jaino dishat yat padanchit yat padakrantam bhuvi drimbena kevalam. Kapila Dev says to Mother Devahuti, Balavam pasyamaya, just see the power of my maya, strimayo maya jaino dishat, in the form of a beautiful woman. Yat karoti padakrantam bhuvi jimbrena kevalam. Even Napoleon, he conquered the whole Western civilization. But then when he went home to Josephine, she controlled him. He was completely under his control. Prabhupada uses this example in the purport to this verse. And then he says, Julius Caesar, the emperor of Rome, such a powerful man. He conquered all directions. But then he would come home to Cleopatra and she'd say, touch my feet, kiss my feet, like this. So this is the problem here in the material world. And in order to get out of it, Krishna is saying, Samashrita ye padapalava plavam mahatpadam punya yashomarari. Bhuvam budir vatsa padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. The enemy of the Mura demon, Lord Krishna. If we take shelter of him, then we will turn all the dangers of this material world, this ocean of dangers, into as much water that will fit into the hoof of a calf. That is a promise. That is a promise of the sages. But step by step, there is always danger in this world. So we take shelter of Krishna, and that way, Mahatmanastu Mampartam, Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha, we become protected by his divine nature. Of course, one may say, well, I know devotees, they got killed and murdered while trying to protect other devotees. What about that? What about the devotees in Russia that got killed in concentration camps? What about that? Huh. Well, if someone dies who is devoted to Krishna, then he simply continues on in his next life, takes birth. Shuchinam Shumatam Gehe Yoga Bhashto Vijayate. What to speak of a devotee, even a person who's quite pious, then and has had some problem in his devotional life, then Krishna says that in his next life he takes birth in a family of Brahmins, a family of spiritual-minded people, religious-minded people, or in the family of very wealthy people. So there's no loss of germination. Neo Vikramadasasti. Pativada Navijite, Swapam Apyasa Dharmasya, Jayate Mahato Bayat. That the fear of taking birth in the animal kingdom is eliminated by one who is a devotee of the Lord, and one will continue on the path of devotional service, even if by some circumstance his body is killed. And of course, the devotee, Krishna tells Arjuna in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the devotee of the Lord is abhayam, first quality, 16th chapter, first verse. Abhayam shatpasham shudir jnana yoga vyastiti dhanam dhamasya yagyasya swadhyaya tapa arjavam. Ahimsa shantir ahimsa shantir. Anyway, the first quality there is abhayam shatpasham shudir. Fearlessness. Devotee is fearless because he's always remembering Krishna. Was Prahlad Maharaj afraid? Dhruva Maharaj, at the age of 5 years old, he went to the forest looking for God to fulfill his material desires. But he was such a powerful tapasvi that after a few months of controlling his breathing and suffocating the entire universe, Lord Vishnu came and appeared before him. And then he realized that his desire to have a kingdom greater than his father, Uttanapada, was a material desire. And so he became a pure devotee of the Lord. And he said, I was looking for pieces of glass, but I got a great treasure. Love of God. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is offering us. If we stick to the process, Srila Prabhupada is offering us the greatest gift we could imagine. Even the demigods and the heavenly planets, not so easy to be given this bhakti lata, this bhakti seed of love of God. But Srila Prabhupada and his predecessors are just full of compassion for all the souls. And he's giving us not just moksha, but this prema, love for Krishna, love of God, understanding all the various flavors and colors in the spiritual world, what it means to love God. So many different rasas are explained by the six Goswamis, different flavors of love of God. Nikunjayono Ratikele Sila Yalibir Yuktira Pikshania Tatatrijaksha Dashivalabasya. That in this groves of Goloka Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is having pastimes with Radharani and the gopis. And the spiritual master is very much expert at assisting as a manjari or whatever, or cowherd boy, whatever, a tree, something, assisting in these conjugal affairs of Radha and Krishna. That is what love of God is. And in the material world here, everyone is trying to enjoy like Krishna, wants to be like Krishna and have a nice Radharani. Forget about birth, death, old age, and disease. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us the real love, the real prema. And of course, it starts with Vedi Bhakti, two parts of sadhana bhakti. The first is the Vedi Bhakti, Vishavini Vartanti Nirarasudeinam, that we control the senses and in the beginning, force ourselves to get up early, force ourselves to chant 16 rounds. Sometimes it's a challenge, and control our mind, and so on and so forth, following the rules and regulations, niyamagraha. And then gradually, as we become more spontaneous, we come to the stage of raga bhakti, or more spontaneous in sadhana, but it's more spontaneous. We're very excited to run and see Krishna, very excited to remember Krishna, very excited to touch the deity of Krishna, very excited and driven to deliver other souls. The Madhyamadikari, he can go to Raga Bhakti. He sees the soul's condition, the conditioned souls, and he wants to give them Krishna consciousness out of compassion. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha, ocean of mercy. Kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree. Patitanam Pavanebhyo. He is feeling sorry for those who are very sorry. They're suffering, and Patita Pavan. Pity the pitiable. That's our only business in life. Haridas Thakur, he was being beaten in 22 marketplaces, and he was praying, Lord Chaitanya, don't send your chakra. Don't send your chakra. Let me take all their sinful reactions on my head. They're beating me, and they want me dead. Please, I'll take their sinful reactions for trying to kill me. Don't send your chakra. And his prayers were so strong that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him later on that your prayers were so powerful of my chakra, it couldn't go there. It couldn't go and kill them. He wanted them dead. He was so angry. But the prayers of Haridas Thakur were completely, drove back the chakra of Lord Vishnu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the power of the pure devotees of the Lord. And we want to simply serve them. We want to serve them and get their mercy so that we can also develop our love of God in this lifetime. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I spoke too long. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji. No, you never can speak too long. It's Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam. No. Dear devotees, please, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak, to share your realizations. Thakur Murari Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. And usually, thank you for your presentation. And we cannot express enough thanks and gratitude for Srila Prabhupada's first generation disciples. As you're one of them, I suppose?
Yes.
Yes, so we are eternally grateful for your wonderful service to Srila Prabhupada and for instructing us the second and third and fourth generations to continue the mission. So as usual, thank you. And just a comment that this Krishna says, whatever action a great man performs, the commandment follow, and whatever standard is set by example acts, the will pursue. So Lord comes and he establishes all sorts of example acts. So we have to follow. So yes, thanks again for the presentation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Anyone else with something to share or ask? Prabhuji, in the text itself, it talks about Krishna, who, while he was in Dwarakadesh, the king of Dwaraka, he was strictly following the Vedic principles of society. Now, my question is, what do we really mean, or what does the text really mean when it says Vedic principles? Let me see exactly what it says, if I may share it here. It says Vedic customs of society. So what specific customs is being addressed here? Because I see there are lots of customs in the Vedic system that we as devotees do not follow most of them.
Mhm.
And I believe that is why we are called Rupanugas. We follow what Sri Rupa Goswami Maharaj has given us. And even though there may be other Vedic customs, but we still do not follow them. So I just wanted to find out from you if there is a vivid explanation as to what specific Vedic customs of society that Krishna strictly followed.
Mm-hmm. That's a very incisive question. Yeah.
Well, Prabhuji, let me further my question. Maybe it will give you more opening to where I'm coming from with my question. The reason I'm asking, for example, in the Vedic custom, people do offerings to ancestors, like they do pinda. We as devotees, I do not know, that's why I'm asking. But I believe as Srila Prabhupada's teachings go, we as ISKCON devotees do not follow these rituals.
Right. So,
okay.
I understand okay. Right. So, of course, the Vedas, as Krishna says in the second chapter, Triguna Vishaya Veda, Nishrayuna Bhavarjana, deals with the three modes of nature. So Prabhupada said, only half my work is finished because he established Brahmins. He taught us to be Brahmins, Brahmin Vaishnavas. But he wanted to create a civilization a blueprint for human society to follow, where people may be addicted to eating meat. That's not Brahmin. One disciple asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, how come Arjuna wasn't chanting japa? Prabhupada said he's a Kshatriya. His japa was fighting and protecting the citizens. His japa was being a warrior, training in the forest, killing animals in the forest, hunting. Completely different guna and karma from the Brahmin, right? So when it says Vedic customs, the customs for the Brahmins, which we are supposed to be following, are completely and explicitly different customs for the Kshatriya, customs for Vaishya, customs for Sudras. In other words, we see that Bhima ate meat. Now, he's the Kshatriya. We see that the Yadus, they were drinking rice wine and got intoxicated and killed each other. You know, we know the story, how Krishna wanted the Yadus to head back home, back to Vaikuntha. So the customs for the Sudra are completely different, but still there are injunctions and customs. Not that you can open a slaughterhouse and say, oh, you know, it says in the Vedas you can eat meat. No. In the Vedas, in the Durga Purana, you want to eat meat? Dark moon night, once a month, and you have to say Mamsaha Kitira Mamsaha, which means I'm eating you. In your next life, you will eat me. It's there, right? Quoted, right? Prabhupada quotes it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this first. And he says, no, that you can open slaughterhouse. So even in the Varnashram system, some people will eat meat. Some people will try to enjoy outside of marriage. So in Dwarka, there were prostitutes so that the chaste women would be protected. So that, you know, the lower class people would do those kinds of things. Fifth class man, nowadays, the leaders of society. You hear about the leaders of society, the president doing all this nonsense. No. The Kshatriyas were allowed to have many wives because they're purely in the mode of passion. They're warriors, so much passion. And they had, even Draupadi had 5 husbands, and she's a warrior princess. So customs are different for different ashrams and varnas in the Vedic society. But Krishna would conform to them, and he would make sure that every particular class of man, class of woman, would conform to their parameters, whatever the parameters are there for them. Oh, you're a laborer and you're doing labor all day. It's not that, you know, they're not going to be drinking tea and coffee. The Brahmin can't drink tea and coffee. Prabhupada said, not even tea and coffee, my disciples. So Brahmin, samadhamma tapasocham. We're very simple. We cultivate the mode of goodness. Yajna, practice the process of sacrificing and teaching others. That's basically chanting Hare Krishna. In the age of Kali, Kali Yad Dari Kirtanat. In the age of Kali, the chanting of that is the sacrifice of the age, the dharma of the age, chanting. In Krita Yad, Jyayato Vishnu. In Satya Yoga, we know that Maharaj Prithu, descendant of Dhruva Maharaj, meditated for thousands of years. We know that Dhruva Maharaj meditated in Mahavan for a long time, thousands of years. That was Satya Yoga. And Treta Yoga is different again. Makana Vishnu, performing lavish sacrifices. Tretayam, Yajnamakai, performing these big sacrifices with ghee and gold and so on. So different ages. So as Brahmins, simple living, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra was the only yagya. Of course, Prabhupada did a fire yagya for marriage and death and so on, a few initiations, yeah, but not these lavish yagyas, no Rajasuya yagya. So my answer to your point is that you made, which is a very excellent point. You know, what about all these Vedic customs? And Vedic, as Prabhupada said, food for one man is poison for another man. Depending on, and Prabhupada wanted to create this whole Varnashram system to accommodate all human beings. All human beings. People will be addicted in the future. They may be Vaishnavas, but they may be addicted to meat eating. Prabhupada told that to Ramaswar. He said, Mayapur will be a city of 50,000 devotees. He said some of them may be addicted to eating meat. So they have to do it according to Vedic custom and injunction. Not that they go down to Calcutta to the slaughterhouse. No, they'll have to do it in compliance with the Vedic customary injunctions. He said that to Ramaswar on a train in India. He said some people will be attached and addicted to intoxication. So there's also measures for them, concessions for them. That's the idea. We, as devotees, Vaishnavas, and Vaishnava Brahmins, because our business is to preach and practice simplicity and so on, our business is to practice the 4 principles of Dharma and to chant our rounds and then to distribute the Sankirtan movement throughout the world. That is our Brahminical duties. Vaishnava Brahmins. Brahmin is one thing. Vaishnava is Brahmin plus, right? He's a Brahmin plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the answer, because it's sometimes quite disturbing when one comes across ISKCON devotees lavishly, like you rightly said, practicing things that Srila Prabhupada himself did not practice. I haven't read, of course, I haven't read much, but I haven't read anywhere in any of Srila Prabhupada's writings where Srila Prabhupada did Pinda sacrifices, Pinda ceremonies. So it is bewildering to me when I see ISKCON devotees doing Pinda ceremonies for ancestors. How do you even know your ancestors? What do you know? So these are some of the challenges we have, and well, we pray and we'll discuss about it. We try to do what Srila Prabhupada taught us. But thank you for the answer. Anyone with questions, comments, realizations you would want to ask?
Can I respond to that last comment you made?
Please, yes.
In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya is instructing Sanatan Goswami in Varanasi, Prayag Varanasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to Sanatan Goswami that you have a very wealthy father, and your father has died and left you a great treasure. That treasure is buried under his house. And then he goes on to elaborate that on the south side of the house, if you dig on the south side, you will simply disturb the wasps and those creatures that will sting you. If you dig on the west side, you will be attacked by ghosts. And if you dig on the north side, you will be devoured by a poisonous snake. If you dig on the east side, you will find the treasure. So In this particular analogy, south side, karma kanda, people that worship demigods, worship ghosts and spirits, worship pinda, pita, do all this stuff. Karma kanda, he rejects it. The west side, ghosts, impersonal philosophy, Sankaracharya, Sharirakya, the impersonalism and voidism. And the north side is people who want to do yoga and want mystic powers and so on. They're bitten by the snake of so-called mystic yoga. So Grama Prabhu rejects, which is part of the Vedas. Yoga is part of the Vedas. Mayavad, Jnana Yoga and all that is part of the Vedas. And Karmakanda rejects them and says the treasure in this age is pure Bhakti Yoga. That's it. That is it, pure devotional service. And he elaborates to Sanatana Goswami on the different aspects of devotional service, instructs him on devotional service, and empowers him to write books on the various elements of and dynamics of devotional service. So, Devarshi Bhutatmanu Nimpichinam, Nakinkaram Nayam Vinicharajan, Savatmaniyar Sharanam Sharanyam, Gato Mukundum Pariricha Kartum. This verse, I believe, is in the 6th canto, where Narada Muni says, if you worship Mukunda, then you please the Devas, the Rishis, the Pitris, and on and on and on. Human society, everyone, all the branches of reality of the universe is satisfied when you go to Mukunda, the root of all things. So here again, Lord Chaitanya's movement is focusing on that, simply the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, my Maha Mantra. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I am on my knees, actually not on my knees. I am on the floor like a piece of wood, praying to you, Prabhuji, my beloved uncle, to bless me, to remain a loyal devotee of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. I feel quite sad sometimes, because what you direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, what you learn from Srila Prabhupada, and passed and continue to pass them on to us, we are receiving them. And then we are mixing whatever we're receiving from you with so many unauthentic things and giving them to other people. And these other people, after the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada are all gone, after we, the second generation, we are all gone, then these inauthentic practices eventually will become the authentic. And those who try to practice the authentic will be frowned upon. They're going to become, they're going to say that, I mean, it's in the scriptures, of course, we know that religion will become a religion will become religion, the opposite will become the opposite. But why should it be in this very, very immediate departure of the Acharya that we received the authentic way of serving the Guru and Krishna, and now we want? There are so many things, I cannot share them with devotees here, but it's quite pathetic to see what some devotees do today in the name of preaching, in the name of ISKCON, in the name of Krishna consciousness. All we can do is to pray and be vigilant and do our best and try to be the example. So this is our prayer, Prabhuji. Please pray for us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for those thoughts. very dangerous times. Srila Prabhupada was so powerful that any nonsense, he would just cut it out, just like with a sharp knife of knowledge and fire. He would cut this speculation and concoctions out. And yes, we need some powerful leaders who are empowered by the Lord to protect the Hare Krishna movement and not go astray. And your concerns are very, very valuable, very valid, I should say, very valid. And we want to, like you say, we have to pray to Lord Nrsingadev to protect the movement, because Kali Yuga can infiltrate into the movement at any time in so many different ways: mental speculation, devious practices, which Srila Prabhupada never allowed. These things have to be kept at bay. Forefather worship. Prabhupada didn't even observe Shivaratri. I never saw Prabhupada observe something like Shivaratri or these various Hindu things. It was Jamashtami, Gurpurnim, like that, you know, Govardhan.
Govardhan.
Yeah. So this is a new concoction. Shivaratri. Well, I suppose if you want to say in bold letters, Lord Shiva is a great devotee of the Lord, and perhaps recite some verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, songs sung by Lord Shiva. Oh yeah, we can adulate him in that particular context, but not that. Oh yeah, somehow or other, you know, we misguide people when they come to the temple. Oh, Shivaratri, you know, give us a donation. Prostitute ourselves. So your point is extremely important. Extremely important. Not to deviate. Prabhupada said, you Westerners have 3 diseases. You're always trying to change everything. Was one of them. Your sex desire is out of control, and you're always fighting with each other. He told that to his American disciples. These are your 3 faults.
Good to know. These are the 3 diseases, and they are very clear. I have them all.
We have to, evaluate our own devotional service, but we also, as leaders and administrators in Africa, in ISKCON, we have to keep these things away, these practices, mental concoction, pure mental concoction, and whim, on a whim, you know, we'll do this, we'll do that, you know. Very unfortunate. Very dangerous. Yeah.
Well, we have Shiva Vara Prabhu's hand up. Shiva Vara Acharya Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to the devotees. Right. Yeah, so this is a very sensitive point that we're discussing. Thank you very much for your discourse. But the question asked by Sahadev Prabhu is a very sensitive issue. I just want to make some comments. First, I thank you for your reference to the fact that Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada said that 50% of his mission is only accomplished. And the rest 50% Vanashram is to actually accommodate the growth of the community into accepting, you know, those who are not into pure devotion. So that's a very important point. Because, and then you also mentioned that we are Brahmana plus. I think what you meant to say is that we are Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas are said to be superior to Brahmanas. So as Vaishnavas, we focus on pure devotion. Now, the whole society cannot focus on pure devotion. That will only be minority. And Srila Prabhupada realized that. So Srila Prabhupada is not a fanatic, and he did not come to establish something that like a bottleneck kind of devotion that only for only few people. He has the focus on the pure devotion, but he also wants the deliverance of the corporate society. So that corporate salvation, that is what is called an ashram, carry everyone along. But there's some people who stand out, that they will be focused on pure devotion. These are the Vaishnavas. That's how it has always been, and it will always be the case. It's never going to change. So Prabhupada respect that fact. But then our society is growing. Now we have the dichotomy between following pure Vaishnava principles or, merging into the Vedic customs, like Sadi Prabhu rightly mentioned. This is going to happen until we have the principles in place. And that's what I've always been saying. The way Srila Prabhupada started ISKCON is based on the monastic lifestyle. And he realized that along the line, this is going to pose a problem, because people will not know where to divide the line between the monastic lifestyles for Vaishnavas, pure Vaishnavas, those who are totally, committed to perfection. Just like the sages in Amisara, I know the standard we have in the Bhagavatam. That is not meant for everybody. That is not meant for everybody. We have to understand that. So unless we want to be seen like fanatics, dogmatic and so on, then we will be pushing just only one aspect of the spiritual paradigm. So that's why I say this is a very sensitive point. Now, the second point is the fact that, like the ancestor right. Some people may argue that Lord Chaitanya did that. Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya, and that was when he took his initiation. So they will say, so if Lord Chaitanya did it, why not? So I mean, so that argument is there. Now, the point is, when our devotees, especially here in Africa, our devotees in Africa, they go to India and they see some of these things being practiced. They get into it. And don't forget, in Africa, we have our tradition. We're a traditionally based society in Africa. We have all these things, ancestral worship, demigod worship, we have them. So once these people go and they see them, they get into it and they bring it back, and they're going to do it in their own way also here. That's what people forget. So until ISKCON as a society, puts the principle, lay down the principles of pure Vaishnavism and, the Varnashram, that aspect that accommodate, Vedic customs. Until our society can delineate this, there's going to be a mismatch of kind of practices, and we can only talk, but it will not change anything. Last point, there is a big controversy right now going on in the Christendom in Nigeria, and it's spreading to other parts of Africa, because there's one pastor who stood up against so many of these mixed up kind of practices going on in the churches that people have been complaining. And this guy is taking up every one of them and is creating a big, roar, a big controversy. So I just pray that one day ISKCON will not become a victim of the same thing, because it's beginning to happen. But then the Christians have gone deep into it, mixed up everything. I know all kind of juju stuff is going on in the church in the name of, I don't know, they use Jesus to cover up. So anyway, so this is a very sensitive issue, and it's happening, and it's beginning to happen in ISKCON. We don't know where to draw the lines between some of these customs, Vedic rites, which very much resemble African traditions. We have them all. The Pinda, we have it in our own tradition. They'll go to India and do it in the Indian way. When they come back here, nothing's going to stop them to do it. In fact, it's a constant question coming up in our classes, whether they have to do it or not. Some of the members ask these questions often. Now, when they see these things happening in India, and devotees visit India and they see this, and then they say, why not? Why can't we? So anyway, thank you for the opportunity to make some comments. This is just my comment. It's a very sensitive thing. And Srila Prabhupada saw it coming, but the leaders are not seeing it. The leaders are not seeing it. And then when the problems start coming up, we only open our mouth aghast. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so Krishna does cover the demigod worship point in the Vedas, in the Bhagavad Gita. He talks about it. You know, Kamastai Vidyana Padinte Niya Devataha. He talks about worship of ghosts. He talks about worship of forefathers. But ultimately, in the 18th chapter, you know, he encourages Arjuna to Sarva Dharman Prichaja, to give up all the different types of dharmas, even if they're within the perimeter of the Vedic paradigm. Because ultimately, all benedictions that the demigods give, he says, ultimately come from me. So he's encouraging that, yeah, you can worship demigods, you know, Govardhan Hill pastime, where Krishna discourages Nanda Maharaj from worshiping Indra, and we know what happened. So it's not that these concessions are not made. However, Krishna gives the one-point solution to all this diversity and this, you know, distraction, not a deviation, but distraction. Why are you worshiping Lord Indra? I'm the ultimate source of the rain. He is the minister of rain, but I'm the prime minister. And, you know, Krishna convinced his father. So similarly, Krishna never forces anything on anyone. If people want to worship ghosts and spirits, then at the time of death, they go to the ghosts and spirits. But Krishna gives advice, and then he says, Ata chet tvam ahankaram, nashoshasi vinangshasi. He says, Machita sarva durgani mach prasada tarishasi. He said, if you become conscious of me, if you surrender to me as your authority and the supreme absolute, mat prasada tarishasi, by my mercy, I'll remove all the obstacles of your life, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. Ata chet tvam ahankaram. But if you act out of false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So Krishna is offering Arjuna his free will, saying you have free will. You want to worship demigods, you want to worship ghosts, worship forefathers. That's all in the various parts of the Vedas, flowery language of the Vedas. But Triguna Vishaya Veda, Nistriguna Bhavarjuna, says the Vedas deals with all the different aspects of human society. And people will do this. But he wants to bring us to the point of loving God, Krishna, and becoming free. Jara Marna Mokshaya Mama Shucha Yatantiye. That he takes Srila Krishna, then no more Jara and Marana. Jara Marana Mokshaya Mama Shucha Yatantiye Te Brahma Tadvidu. Whether you're Sudra, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, which Prabhupada wanted to establish, you know, a broader facility for all types of human beings. But still, ultimately, he's saying, let's go back to Godhead and overcome this Dukalayama Shashvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmanas. Become a Mahatma. You could be like Bhima, he ate meat. They drank wine, they gambled. Those are the four adharmis: gambling, intoxication, animal slaughter, you know, but still they were Kshatriyas. So they were allowed these things, but still they were devotees of Krishna. And they were in Sakyaras, friendship, and Dasyaras, servitorship, pure devotees. But still we see they went out hunting and killing animals and bringing them back. They didn't go to the slaughterhouse. And drinking wine, at certain times. I'm sure it was regulated. Now that you can go to a liquor store anywhere in town and load up on liquor. No, there's a difference between the Kshatriya Dharma, street Dharma, and so on, than just complete, uncontrolled, unregulated sinful activities, which is going on in society today at the expense of the cow, which is the mother of society, killing children in the womb. Your own children are not safe, Prabhupada said. Their children are not safe, but the mother herself is doing it. So it's such a dark age. And like the Prabhu is saying, my commentator was saying, yeah, we have to be very broad-minded and point them in the right direction, but not suppress. Krishna never, he says, what will suppression accomplish? What will oppression accomplish? The injection of knowledge into human society, and then they have to act on it, decide. Make your own decision, Arjuna. You now make your decision. I've spoken. You decide. What do you want to do? How do you want to deal with this? And so on. So we have guidance from bona fide acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, great acharyas, and they give us guidance. I know devotees that eat fish in America. So they didn't take initiation, but they chant Hare Krishna. They have some problems, some struggles. Prabhupada would never cast them aside. They wouldn't be ostracized, and they wouldn't be judged. Just slowly, baby steps. We don't know what kind of background people have and what they went through in life and so on. So we have to be extremely compassionate and merciful and broad-minded. But for those who take initiation, then you have to, follow according to the acharyas.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's amazing how Sri Krishna helps us in our quest to knowing and understanding what we need to do in order to please Guru and Krishna. Because just 2 days ago on this same platform, we were discussing about the differences between we as ISKCON devotees, our initiation ceremonies, and that of Christians, for example, like the Catholics. Why in Christianity and Christendom, sometimes an infant, a toddler, may be baptized, which is similar, same as initiation. Whereas in ISKCON, we do not give initiation to young children. And what we all agreed upon was that because when you take initiation, you're making a vow. So you should be an adult enough to understand what the vows or the principles you are voluntarily accepting to abide by means. So when people are baptized as infants, they do not take any vows. When we take initiation, we take vows. So we know that in Varnashram system, some people are going to eat meat. But if you want to eat meat, then you're not going to be given initiation. That means that you do not belong to this portion of the society. So if someone is in this portion of society where we do not eat meat, fish, gambling, no illicit sex, and you are there and you think that some of the Vedic culture, custom allows for others to go see other harlots, prostitutes. So even though I'm married, I can go outside. That is crazy. If that is the mood, then like you're saying, some devotees somewhere eat meat, do not take initiation. We've heard from so many sources, Srila Prabhupada, talking about the dangers of disciples' sins being visited upon the Guru. So these are some of the, like Shrimara Prabhu was saying, it's a very delicate topic. We cannot digest it here today. Maybe someday we may arrange and have devotees like your humble self help us go deeper into how to balance these Varnashram system, which will happen in society, and Srila Prabhupada's society called ISKCON. I believe that ISKCON is like the acme, the zenith. And therefore, if someone admits himself or herself into being in this movement, you cannot do otherwise. We cannot do our own things. That's why we are disciples. We are voluntarily accepted to be disciplined. Well, I will end here. Thank you, Prabhuji. And your time is maybe you may say some few words and then we will bring this to a close. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's very, very incisive perception on the difference between initiated and uninitiated people who may still be devotees of, various levels of advancement or so on. That's important. Prabhupada never condemned. The most important thing that I have seen in my life in Krishna consciousness is to always remain very humble. Tolerant means forgiveness also. So, I'm very tolerant. It means forgive. If someone offends me, I forgive. So tolerance and humility, Lord Chaitanya was very emphatic that string this on the Mahamantra, string the Mahamantra on the string of this verse, the third verse. So that is my prayer, that so many devotees come and go that I have seen, so many of my god brothers and god sisters. We have to embrace this verse, Trinada Pisanichana, Torore Vasa Hishnuna, Amani Namana Dena, Kirtaniya Salahari. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much, beloved uncle, as always. And we hope to have your association more and more, at least once in a month. We wish we could have more of you within every month, but if we cannot have more of you, at least once in a month, it should be okay. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thank you so much. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you to kindly unmute, and we all chant the loudest Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered uncle, His Grace KRIPANIDHI Prabhu. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bancha kalpataribhya kripa sindhubhya chitana pavanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Thank you so much.
Praise.
All
All the Grace KRIPANIDHI ki jai.